We've taken over at Chelsea to get back to Europe's elite, and we've signed a new goalkeeper, but it still wasn't enough as we remain winless after our first two games. But today, with your help, it's time to get serious in the transfer window, and as ever, if you are enjoying the series so far, please feel free to like and subscribe, and let's get into today's episode, starting out with your comments. You should start Fofana and Levi Colwill from next season, because Disasi is slow and Silva is retiring. So yeah, I agree, we've actually got some pretty decent up-and-coming players in the centre, the likes of Wesley Fofana, Benoit Badiashile and Levi Colwill all have the potential to be incredible centre-backs at the heart of our defence. However, I've got to be honest, I do think you're being quite harsh on Axel Disasi. I think he had a pretty decent start to life in a Chelsea shirt in his opening two games. Thiago Silva, on the other hand, perhaps you might be onto something. Although he is my highest rated defender at 83 and he does have the most experience ahead of all of my other centre-backs, perhaps that age of 38 was starting to show in the last couple of games. I have some recommendations to sign Takefusa Kubo and Manuel Neuer, plus you could loan someone like Griezmann and sign a superstar centre-back. Now there's no doubt that Takefusa Kubo is a highly regarded prospect, but with me just buying him for Tottenham in my last career mode, I'm kind of hesitant to bring him in this one. Now Manuel Neuer is quite an interesting shout. There's no doubt that he's a world-class goalkeeper and would offer us some valuable experience, but with him being 37 years of age and with me just bringing in the 23-year-old Diogo Costa who started off his Chelsea career in fine fashion, I think it would be incredibly harsh to drop the Portuguese. Griezmann though is perhaps the most interesting shout of all. With him being 32 years of age, whilst he is in the twilight of his career, he still potentially does have a good few years left in him, and with him being 88 rated, there is no doubt he would improve the team. But with Chelsea's philosophy of bringing in younger players with a high amount of potential, would he fit the mould that the new Chelsea ownership are looking for? Mudryk was a bit sloppy, so I take a look at Armand Loriente, and I also saw you have him shortlisted in the transfer hub. He's 24, he's quick, he has decent finishing for a winger and great dribbling. He might not be the best player physically, but I'm sure he would fit that left wing spot nicely. Yeah, so Mudryk has continued the vein of form that he finds himself in real life into this career mode. He had a bit of a shocking start to pre-season and not the best start to our actual Premier League campaign either. Now rating-wise, Armand Loriente would no doubt be an improvement with him up to 80, and with him being 24, he's still got his prime years ahead of him. Yes, he does have poor physical stats in the sense that overall he's 47, but in terms of the stats you want for a winger, the likes of acceleration, sprint speed, agility, balance, all that sort of stuff, I think he's actually pretty decent in those areas. However, as you'll also see from my shortlist, I have a wide variety of other left wingers who I could potentially bring to the club as well, so I think this is definitely a position that I'm going to have to look into a little bit more detail in later on in the episode. And finally, Mudryk and Madueke are kind of okay for me at left wing and right wing. Just give them time and they will improve. And Nkunku should play as a cam, which will suit him the most, and Jackson will be okay as a striker for this season alone. But next season, when we're in the Champions League or Europa, try and bring in Osimhen, because he has been heavily linked with Chelsea in real life, and loan out the likes of Lavia, but keep Ugochukwu because in real life he's performing well and is physically strong, which will help the central defensive midfield role. So again, a lot to unpack with this comment, and I'm actually in agreement with you that I think Noni Madueke would be a good fit on the right hand side. Whilst I have been playing him on the left due to the poor form of Mudryk, he has all the tools to be a decent right winger, and there's no better to learn from than the more experienced Englishman Raheem Sterling on that right hand side. Now I definitely think one of these two, either he or Lavia, are definitely going to have to be loaned out, perhaps even both of them this season, bearing in mind we've got the likes of Conor Gallagher, Enzo Fernandez and Moises Caicedo all in front of the two of them. And as for Nicholas Jackson, well, he hasn't exactly started this career mode on fire, with 2 appearances and only a 5.5 rating in the Premier League and no goals to his name, but with him playing for Chelsea up front in real life, again, I'm kind of hesitant to replace the new signing. Now your point about Christopher Nkunku is a very interesting one, because on this game he's listed as a centre forward, but in real life my understanding was that Chelsea wanted to play him as a central attacking midfielder. So with that in mind, I put the question to you guys in a poll as to which position you wanted me to see play the young Frenchman. And as you can see, it was the closest poll I think I've ever run, with the majority just shading 51% of you deciding you want to see Christopher Nkunku play as a striker for Chelsea. And so as per your request, I'm going to switch him with Nicholas Jackson to be the main man to lead the line for me. However, as you can see, with Nicholas Jackson now moving into the cam position, that is not something that is particularly familiar for the Senegalese. And so with £146 million still left to spend, I think we know what position we're going to be looking for at the start of this episode. Now, as you can see from my shortlist, I've got 4 clear options that stand out as my favourites that I want to sign. Starting off with this man Florian Wirtz, there is no doubt he would be the best at only 20 years of age and already 86 rated. He would fit into this Chelsea team like a glove. However, with me having to pay about £130 million to secure his services, that's not exactly going to leave me with a lot of cash to try and improve the rest of the team. The 81 rated 20-year-old Xavi Simons is probably my next best option, but with him joining PSG in real life and being sent straight out on loan to Leipzig for the remainder of the season, he's probably realistically not in a position to join Chelsea right now. So for me, that leaves me with two remaining options. Firstly, the 23-year-old Spaniard Jadon Sancho. He's 6'2" and he's got high attacking work rate and he's got decent stats all across the board. And then the 24-year-old Christoph Baumgartner, who perhaps his stats aren't as good as Sanset, but he does offer us a little bit more flexibility in the cam midfield position, central midfield and centre forward as well. And so having reviewed both options, it is time for me to make a definitive choice. And so the choice I've made is to bring in a man who's racked up over 100 appearances in La Liga and is now starting to break into the Spanish national team. Another man who I'm sure again will be desperate to ply his trade in the Premier League, and someone who I think can fit in very well at Chelsea Football Club. Jadon Sancho joins the club for £45 million. He's got everything that would fit into a typical Chelsea side. He's young, he's got height, he's got high attacking work rate, and he is exactly what I believe this team needs to try and get us to the next level. And with a home game up next against newly promoted Luton Town, he is going to get his first opportunity to impress in front of a rampant Stamford Bridge crowd, as we aim to try and put our winless start to bed and claim 3 points. Reece James fighting off a challenge of the Luton left winger and plays a lovely ball into Sterling, and he gives it to Sancho for his first chance to try and hit it. And instead he hits it straight at the Luton defenders. Woodrow, nice ball out to Berry on the right-hand side. Tries to go past Reece James. Reece James, though, frantically trying to track him back here. Instead it's played into the box for Woodrow. Back to Berry. Nice stuff from Luton here. And it's a brilliant finish. And just like that, Luton take an unlikely lead. Well, what a horrendous start. All of my players just completely dragged out of position. And I think half of my defence completely fell asleep. And it's poor goalkeeping from Costa at his near post. To be beaten at that angle is not impressive. Luton take the lead. Sassy into Reece James. Reece James are going to try and fire this one down the line into the path of Raheem Sterling. Really nicely done. And Raheem Sterling's going to try and go past the defenders. He's done a really good job here. Raheem Sterling across the box to the back post. I was looking for Cole Palmer, who finds himself starting today, and I just couldn't reach him. Nagby to bring it forward for Luton. He tried to play it forward, but it was well intercepted by Reece James. And now we've got our tails up here. We've got to try and see if we can get a goal. Sterling back across into the box. Looking for Cole Palmer again. And again, couldn't quite get there. We'd managed just about to keep the ball alive, but eventually Luton get it clear. Palmer with the throw into Chilwell. Chilwell back to Conor Gallagher. Conor Gallagher into the feet of Enzo Fernandez, who strikes. Doesn't go anywhere. Sunset will pick up the loose ball. I tried to play it into the path of Cole Palmer and it was poor in the end. Morris for Luton. Into Berry. There is no cohesion. There's no unity. There is no structure to this game so far, as Luton are all over us. But Thiago Silva, the most experienced man on the pitch, manages to dig us out of a hole, and now we can try and hit them on the counter. Palmer into Nkunku. Nkunku's going to try and play a ball all the way out to the right-hand side to Reece James, who has got space to run into. He drives down this right-hand side. Can he try and feed a ball back over looking for Cole Palmer? Well defended by the goalkeeper as the referee blows for half-time. And as you can see, I am reading the riot act to the players here. I'm expecting far more from them against a newly promoted side at home, and I expect there to be a much better performance at the start of the second half. Raheem Sterling down this right-hand side, 5 minutes in, and already we are in the ascendancy, and it's great play from Raheem Sterling here. Tries to cut it back. Oh, almost cut it back to Sunset. It was well intercepted. Then Chilwell into Conor Gallagher. Gallagher turns, finds Nkunku, and Nkunku's going to try and go down the left-hand side to Ben Chilwell. Really nicely done here. Ben Chilwell cuts back inside, looks for Sterling. He finds Cole Palmer, who finds the back of the net. It's beautiful. Well, he celebrates his first Chelsea goal, and what a goal to score. A fabulous piece of build-up play, lovely one-touch passing, and with his left foot, he just curled it in the opposite direction, away from the goalkeeper, into the top right-hand corner, and we are back on level terms here in Stamford Bridge. Morris does a really good job of trying to burst away from Disasi and Thiago Silva, and he's found Berry in an advanced position. This time Costa is on hand to save us. Woodrow for Luton now. Just about 20 minutes remaining here, and we've given away a really cheap penalty. From hero down one end to zero down our end. Cole Palmer, the goal scorer, gives away a really daft penalty, much to my disgust. And now Luton have a fabulous opportunity to get themselves back in the lead here with just 15 minutes remaining on the clock. The fans look on in desperation. Can we save it? No, we can't. They send Diogo Costa the wrong way, and Luton regain the lead at Stamford Bridge. It's a great penalty. He gave him the eyes and sent him to the left-hand side, put the ball in the top right corner. I am absolutely disgusted. It's 2-1 Luton. Sunset into Cole Palmer, turns, tries to make amends for his mistake earlier on, and he's done a really good job of getting away from the Luton defence. Now finds Sunset. Sunset, though, brings it forward and gives it away. It's been a really poor debut for the Spaniard. And Nkunku back into Sunset. Sunset finds Sterling. We have to try and see if we can get an equaliser here. Sterling across. Good save by the goalkeeper. Kabore for Luton. Oh my word, he's absolutely hacked down by Ben Chilwell, who is a very lucky man to only get away with a yellow card. Well, the Luton players are protesting, and rightly so. This was a bit of a disgraceful challenge. It was two-footed. He completely missed the ball, and he's a very lucky man as I bring on the cavalry here in desperation with 5 minutes remaining to try and get an equaliser. Potts. Luton just have to hold on for a mere matter of minutes for what is going to be a famous victory away from home. But perhaps they're looking for a third to put the game to bed. It's brilliant. Diogo Costa makes a meal of it, and oh my word, I thought they were going to sneak in for a third there. But we just about managed to get the ball away. Gallagher into Nkunku. Nkunku's going to try and play in. Madueke on the left-hand side. Nice ball, but Madueke doesn't have any options. Instead manages to get away from the challenge. Nkunku now drives into the box. Nkunku with his left. Nkunku levels the scores here at Stamford Bridge. We'll look at the celebration. Look how much it means to him to get his first Chelsea goal in the Premier League. The Chelsea fans go absolutely ballistic, but it is heartbreak for Luton. But again, it was a beautiful piece of build-up play, and Nkunku, now moving into a central attacking midfield position, was able just to drop deep, find the run from the ball from Nicholas Jackson, put it in the back of the net and celebrate 2-2. And as the game comes to an end, Luton are absolutely devastated. Their hearts broken as a potential victory was ripped away from them in the last minute. Fortunately, it was that man, Christopher Nkunku, who spared our blushes at the end. But at full time here, we remain winless in the Premier League. It's Chelsea 2, Luton 2. And whilst I'm obviously incredibly happy for this young man to get his first Chelsea goal, it's a result that still leaves us in 13th place in the league. A really disappointing start to life in Chelsea colours for the Spaniard Oihaz Sanset, who had a pretty shocking performance, it must be said. Pretty much every ball he played went to the wrong player, and in the end he had to be hauled off as we tried to resurrect the game. And whilst Cole Palmer did find himself on the score sheet in the end, his naivety at the other end of the pitch will cost us dearly and could have potentially lost the game for us. And so I think it's pretty clear that there is still some work that needs to be done to this Chelsea starting 11. Now, I've had 3 games so far, and each game has started a different player on the left wing. I've had Mudryk start in the very first game and not exactly set the world alight, and only getting a 5.4 rating. Madueke did okay on the left-hand side, but with him being left-footed and more of a natural right winger, that is where I see his long-term future. And as for Cole Palmer, whilst he did get on the score sheet, with him only being 67 rated and still being 21 years of age, I actually think a loan move might be more suitable for the young man. Now, as you can see from my shortlist, I have a wide variety of different options who could potentially fit the bill on the left-hand side of my midfield. A mixture of them who have got experience playing at the highest level and also experience playing in a variety of different leagues. But for me, at a time when I'm desperately in need for someone who can come in and hit the ground running, and someone who, after falling out with his manager Erik ten Hag at Manchester United, will be desperate to prove a point that he is ready and able to still ply his trade at a Premier League level. That is right, I'm turning to the former wonder kid who lit up German football for 2 years and now the much maligned English prospect for Manchester United, as Jadon Sancho will join Chelsea Football Club in a deal worth £42 million. And whilst Jadon does come with some baggage and some question marks over his commitment to football, I'm confident that someone like the experienced Raheem Sterling can act as a mentor to the young man and get him back on track to becoming that something special. And as we reach transfer deadline day and the club eventually agreeing a 1-year loan deal for Cole Palmer to Sheffield United, that outgoing will finish off what has been an incredibly busy transfer window at Chelsea Football Club. And with the squad now looking in a better position than it was when I took over, and £47 million still left in the transfer budget if we need any improvements come January, all attention turns to Jadon Sancho, who gets the first chance to impress in front of the Chelsea fans as he'll make his debut against Nottingham Forest. And aside from him starting on the left-hand side, there are 2 other big changes. Badiashile and Fofana will come in at the back for the likes of Thiago Silva and Disasi, as we look to try and put in a better defensive performance this time today than we did against Luton. And Sancho will get his first touch inside the opening 5 minutes, and he plays a nice ball into Raheem Sterling, who's come deep. Sterling's going to try to feed in Reece James. It was a good ball, but it was well intercepted. Magala for Nottingham Forest being chased down by Enzo Fernandez. It's now Jadon Sancho who's doing some chasing, trying to impress and very keen to impress in front of the Chelsea faithful here on his debut. But Hudson-Odoi, a former Chelsea man, is the one who can bring the ball forward. And now it's Enzo Fernandez, who's able to intercept. And he can try and release Christopher Nkunku. He does release Nkunku. He has the pace to drive into the box and strike. That is fabulous. Well, I knew there was a reason you wanted me to start him up front, and my word, he has shown why. A beautiful ball forward, and he has the pace, the guile, the tenacity to get away from the defenders. And what a finish. Absolutely drilled it into the top left-hand corner, gave the keeper no chance. And he gives us a 1-0 lead at Stamford Bridge. Into Sancho, who's picked up a lovely bit of pocket of space away from all of the Nottingham Forest defenders and drives forward here. Finds Sterling on the right. Sterling's going to look for Nkunku. Again, it's beautiful, and Nkunku this time smashed it against the defender for a corner. And it's a corner that Enzo Fernandez will take. He floats it in, looking for the head of Reece James. It's headed away for Jadon Sancho to collect. Back out to Enzo Fernandez. He'll fire it back in. This time he fires it straight against the Nottingham Forest defenders, though. Badiashile over to Ben Chilwell. This has been a brilliant opening 25 minutes here for Chelsea. Jadon Sancho into Caicedo. Caicedo into Raheem Sterling. Sterling out to Reece James. Nice stuff here. Fires it across. Looking for Jadon Sancho. He can't get there with his head. Into Awani, who's doing a really good job of leading the line for Nottingham Forest. He's found himself very isolated often, but he's managed to find a ball out to the left-hand side. Reece James blocks corner. And it looks like they're going to try and fire this one into the box. So they've got no shot options. It is to the edge of the 6-yard box. This time it's Fofana who heads it away. Only out as far as the former Manchester United man Alanga. And now they strike again. Well defended though. It's blocked away, but it's still Nottingham Forest ball. They still have it. And it's Nyanzu, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, who's just trying to find some sort of angle. We do a good job of blocking the ball, but it's down the line into Santos. Can he try and find a ball into the box? Well defended, but again they still have it. They still have it now. Right onto the edge of the box. Mangala to play the ball forward, but it's well intercepted by Badiashile. Sunset goes out wide to Reece James, and Reece James with a first-time ball into the box here. Oh, it's brilliant. What a volley, what a save. Mangala for Forest. This game, whilst we are in the ascendancy, is still very much anyone's. It's up for grabs here as we only lead by 1 goal. And it looks like Nottingham Forest are going to try and see if they can get an equaliser, but it's well defended by Ben Chilwell. Fabulous stuff by the young Englishman. Alanga with a great ball in. Mangala, what a save from Costa. Caicedo has come deep to collect the ball, and he's trying to drive forward here. Lovely stuff. Plays it into the path of Jadon Sancho, who can now try and streak down this left-hand side. Sancho cuts back in. I was looking for a ball to Nkunku. Wasn't the best ball, and it was easily intercepted by the Nottingham Forest defence. 15 minutes remain on the clock here, and Nottingham Forest have a corner that Hudson-Odoi is going to fire in, looking for the head of Mangala. In the end, it's nicely clutched into the arms of Diogo Costa. Into Caicedo. Caicedo into Sancho. Sancho into Madueke. He shifts it onto his left. Oh, he was so close to adding a second. Karsdorp for Forest. Only a couple of minutes plus stoppage time remaining on the clock here. We have to try and see out this victory to get our first 3 points of the season. Williams on the right-hand side into Dominguez. Nottingham Forest playing it well. Into Mangala. It's well defended by Badiashile. Not well defended enough. And we got very fortunate with that. It was straight at the goalkeeper at the death. As fortunately for us, the referee blows for full time. Well, I shake the hand of the Nottingham Forest manager, much in relief more than anything else, as the players celebrate. We finally get 3 points on the board. And it's a much needed 3 points. An impressive debut from this man, Jadon Sancho. And in his first game in a Chelsea shirt, we get our first win of the season. It's 1-0 against Nottingham Forest. And whilst that's a win that only lifts us up into the top half of the table for the first time this season, you can tell from the morale of the team that it finally feels good to get 3 points on the board. And while Sancho didn't get on the score sheet or the assist sheet today, his overall play on the left-hand side of midfield certainly had an impact on our overall attacking play as well. And as for Christopher Nkunku, his fine form continues as well. Since the move up front, it's 2 goals in 4 Premier League games, and long may it continue for the Frenchman. Now, whilst we've spoken a lot about the improvements to the first team, one thing that we have to be very conscious about is the Chelsea Youth Academy. Known in real life as having one of the best youth academies in the entire country, that hasn't exactly been reflected in this career mode so far. However, there does seem to be one man, Cilia, who's got a potential rating of 92, and at 15 years of age is someone who we might want to keep an eye on. However, there can be no doubt that we need to try and utilise some of these youth scouts that we have available. And so for now, first things first, I'm going to set up a scouting network, of course, in England. With the Brazilian Thiago Silva being the best centre-back at the club, I'm going to try and see if I can raid South America to try and find a fellow Brazilian who can play in his ilk. And finally, Chelsea seem to be having some success uncovering great talent across France. So once again, I'm going to send my third and final scout there. It looks like it's going to take some time before those scout reports start coming in, so we're going to have to wait until next episode to see if we can uncover the very next world youth superstar. Now, I mentioned last episode about not knowing whether or not new coaches bring any value to the team, and that is why I only decided to bring in 5 for now. However, after such a poor start to the season and having some new coaches being available to us, I think it's now time that we start to add a few more to our ranks. Now, as you can see, whilst there have been a few extra coaches available to us, there still aren't enough that we can hit the ideal star rating that we need across all the different positions. So I guess we've just got to hope for now that the coaches we have brought in have a good enough impact on our squad. And after beating Bournemouth 3-2 away from home, with Jadon Sancho getting his first goal in a Chelsea shirt, managing to get past Aston Villa 3-0 at home with Jadon Sancho getting his first goal in a Chelsea shirt, and managing to knock Crewe out of the Carabao Cup 3-1 at home, it seems like this additional coaching has had some sort of impact on our team, as we've managed to drag ourselves up to 6th place in the Premier League, just 2 points off the final Champions League spot. However, just as I thought we were starting to get back on track, we are hit with some terrible news. Our best midfielder in Enzo Fernandez has been struck down with an ACL injury that is going to keep him out for the foreseeable future, and for 5 months to be more precise. It's heartbreak for the Argentinian, as he was just getting into his stride in the Premier League, but it's the perfect opportunity for someone like Conor Gallagher, or even an exciting prospect like Romeo Lavia, to step up to the plate and make a name for themselves in our starting 11. With the press even starting to ask questions about how the team are going to cope with the loss of such a big player, whilst he will be a disappointing loss, I'm confident we've got cover in every position and the squad is deep enough to cope in his absence. And as we head on over to Craven Cottage for what is going to be a massive West London derby, it is going to be those two players who are going to get the opportunity to try and stake a claim in our starting 11 in his absence, as both Conor Gallagher and Romeo Lavia will both make their starts in the centre of my midfield. The other change is Amadueke comes in on the right hand side of midfield in place of Sterling, and the likes of Fofana and Badiashile both start at the back for me. And straight away, Romeo Lavia is getting in and amongst it, and he's played a fabulous ball into the path of Christopher Nkunku, who finds the other player, Madueke. What a save. So within the first 10 minutes, we have a corner, and it's a corner that man Madueke is going to take, fires it into the near post. And it's a big head from Nkunku, but an even bigger save from Leno. Second corner of the game that Madueke will take, and again he fires it into the near post. Fofana tried to get his head on it, headed away by the Fulham defenders. Out to Sancho. Sancho turns, looking for some sort of option, finds Badiashile. He finds Madueke, fires it across. It was a good ball, but there was no one in there. Andreas Pereira for Fulham, being hunted down by Badiashile, but finds a nice ball out wide. Reece James can't do enough to put a challenge in. Fofana can, though. Good defending. Harrison Reed for Fulham, well challenged by Madueke. And can I try and release Christopher Nkunku? I can. It's a beautiful reverse pass. And look at the pace and the space that he has. He fires it into the back of the net. Thank you very much, 1-0 Chelsea. A brilliant run. He showed great awareness to get himself in the right position, and when you give him that much time and space, he will find the back of the net, just as he did, and he fires us into a much-deserved 1-0 lead here in Craven Cottage. Castagna for Fulham, trying to go past Jadon Sancho, who's back defending but doesn't do a good enough job. Badiashile does to head it away, but it's only out as far as Palhinha. He gets it all wrong though, and now we can try and hit them on the counter-attack. Sunset to release Sancho down the left-hand side, and Sancho instead is going to cut inside and try and feed a ball to Nkunku. It was a poor ball and a poor decision. Oyhan Sunset though has another opportunity to drive forward here, and this time he finds a better ball into Christopher Nkunku. Nice play out to the left-hand side to Chilwell. Sancho has it. Sancho with his left. Good save. Andreas Pereira, challenged well by Fofana, but Fulham still managed to keep hold of the ball. It's back inside for Vinicius Junior. Badiashile, though, the other centre-back, is good enough to put in a good enough challenge. And Madueke now can release a lovely ball out to Reece James. My word, that was sensational. And Reece James to play it across, and Nkunku just stopped his run. If he continued going, he would have been in. Fofana all the way out to Reece James, who's free on the right-hand side. Finds Sunset, though. He gives it back to James. This time he fires it across again. Gets the cross all wrong. Lavia, who's done a really good job of just holding force in the centre of the park here, as Madueke has it after a ball from Conor Gallagher. What a strike, what a goal. Well, he starts in place of Sterling, and my word, what a ray to repay the manager. It was Conor Gallagher, the man who also made a start in place of Enzo Fernandez, who fed him in, and that is a fabulous finish past the goalkeeper. As I celebrate, it's 2-0. Diop, oh, that is a beautiful ball. He's just carved my defence open here. Ben Chilwell frantically trying to get back here, but he can't put a challenge in. And my word, it went through the goalkeeper's legs. Madueke Lovely reverse pass into the path of Reece James, cuts it back into Nkunku, Nkunku into the box, Nkunku taken out from behind, and surely that has to be a penalty. Look at this, it's a horrendous foul. He made no attempt to play the ball and he knows it's got to be a penalty. And it is going to be that man, Christopher Nkunku, who's going to step up here. The man who was fouled to get himself his second of the game and our third. It's a brilliant finish. He's absolutely delighted. He is a man in sensational form this episode since his move up front. The goalkeeper went the right way, but the shot was too powerful and too accurately placed. It's a brilliant penalty and much to my delight, it's 3-0. Fulham surely just trying to play for pride here and try and see if they can get a consolation goal, but it's Castagna down the right hand side. They've worked this really well. Fire it into the box. Fofana with a big head. He has been brilliant at the back alongside Badiashile as the referee blows for full time. Well, I think my face says it all. Absolutely delighted with the performance, as are the players. It was arguably our best performance of the entire season so far. That man Christopher Nkunku will surely take the plaudits as his 2 goals were enough to give us a 3-0 victory here at full time against Fulham. And whilst Christopher Nkunku will take the plaudits, for me the most pleasing thing was the performance of the entire team. In the absence of such a big player, it would be understandable if some of my younger players might drop their heads. But with morale now sky high and the team moving up into the Europa League spot in 5th place in the Premier League, it looks like some of my younger players have really got the bit between their teeth and starting to develop into quality players. I think the move to centre forward has done this man the absolute world of good, as within 7 Premier League games, he's notched up 7 goals and an overall rating of 8.14. An unbelievable start to this young man's Chelsea career. And while Sterling only has 1 goal and 1 assist to his name in 5 Premier League appearances, there can be no doubt he has had a significant impact to our overall attacking play on the left-hand side. And so with some huge games coming up over the next couple of months, and with my first team really starting to take shape, and the club moving in the right direction in the Premier League, I think it's a pretty positive time to be a Chelsea fan. But that is where we are going to leave today's episode. I hope you have enjoyed it. As I said, if you are enjoying the series, please feel free to like, comment and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching.